Welcome everybody to the 2022 Indie TCG Report. Curtis Shelton here. I also go by Ruka Azure in the process. I run TTRPG HQ. I went through the process earlier, right before I posted this on August 19th, creating a whole entire detailed report on TTRPGs that are coming out and everything, especially the indie market, because corporate structures and stuff like that always have a huge undertaking and market and the availability and the resources and the money to actually do anything that they want if it's going to be a wasted investment or not. Where everyday people with indie companies, it's like a huge investment, it could literally ruin the whole company's reputation, making them like out of money and stuff like that, or a personal individual. And it's not even just about like the money and resources, it's also the tactics they use and like things that they might do and stuff, because there's been some of these CCGs who have reportedly issues in trying to do some sketch things in the process. But we'll not go through that. We're just going to go strictly through the report that's created. It is currently September 31st, which would go in a full year span from point A to point B amongst all the TTRPGs, indie and not. There are two that have not updated onto this report. I found them afterwards, actually. So you're getting a full, from scratch original of the report through this video. And then I'll be adding on some new details, and something really spicy came up in the TCG world will make things challenging for everybody else, and it kind of met some predictions that could possibly happen. And but from there, we'll just go ahead and go in here. All right. So the 2022 Indie TCG Report. There's the introductions. We get the most profitable of the Kickstarter ones I could find, TCG and CCG. Amongst the searches who maximize the report itself. Most pledges, it's going to be like the top, currently 13 most pledges. Depends on the amount of pledges. It's like, I think 300 plus or 250 in that range, if I remember correctly, gets added into it, because anything under is just like, it's good that they get the numbers and stuff, but some of them only have like 9 pledges and stuff. It's not really worth to go through that process. But maybe with this new update, there might have been some new TCGs from point A to point B that did make it, but I will be filing down the ones that didn't make it, meet their Kickstarter goals, which they were during the process during this time. We'll be updating it, so some things might shuffle around from point A to point B. But that's why you get a chance to check, because it'll be all updated after this. Familiarities, it's coming up like the reasons and methods of what familiar is with certain these and stuff like that. More to come, final numbers and all that jazz. So this is pretty fancy here. It took me a while to build this. It's got quite a few. It's got all the hit TCGs top 30 that are there. And Honorable Zutile's him in there in the corner. They're a TCG too, but it looks like they'll be doing their own Kickstarter for something additionally here soon enough. So one of these things that if you want to talk about, with year 2020, brought up COVID and everything, everybody sat at home for like 6 to 8 months doing absolutely nothing, and now we got floods of like 5e, like 5e converts or 5e sub, and like different variations of 5e flooding the market on like Kickstarter and others. And like all these crazy board games are coming out, all these TCGs were coming out. Trust me, I was one of those creators who tried to put a TCG on the market that met some unsuspected ends that did knock off like somewhat. But besides the point, like you gotta just if you want to throw some questions down in the comments and stuff, do you think this is really like a TCG revolution? I personally think it is. Is it a TCG war? It will be. It definitely will be. We'll definitely get more into that here soon enough. All right. So we're going to break down top 30 successful indie titles. Currently right now, right after this video is done, I will be making the updated version of this, which you will see afterwards. I would like to do a video later on with the updated similarities, but I think we'll just wait a year and just see how the industry looks a year from now and see where everything's at, and then even recap some of these big ones, and it will definitely be a bigger report. Hands down, Sorcery Contested Realms. it's an amazing game. It's a grid base where instead of using the lands to like bring out like your magic, like Magic the Gathering stuff, they basically made it where you put the land in the grid, and then that's where you spawn your people and stuff, and you destroy each other's lands and destroy each other's like creatures and stuff. Um, I wasn't able to back this one, but man, who cares? They had tons of money from there. As like you said, that at the time when I did the difference and everything, that's like 3.5 million US. That is a ton of money. And then they also got the backers too. They're definitely in for the long run. This is going to be one of the harder, like this company is going to go right in and just like, hit the industry and take over pretty well. Just like a couple of others, like MetaZoo, Flesh and Blood has made a really good mark on the industry recently. Of course, Grand Archive TCG, they almost hit the million marker too. They had quite a few backers as well. Nostalgics, absolutely love this game. Love it so much. They made it in third place, but only trailing behind by a little bit compared to Grand Archive. But I know that's because Grand Archive had different pledges that gave them the additional money boost to cap them over a little bit. But Nostalgics, absolutely love this game. It's definitely going to be a long-term game. Even my nephews are into it. They love it. I think they just recently maybe got some of their product. I just know that I gave them a couple like pre-done decks and stuff that I got from Zaba himself. I actually got a chance to meet him in Tampa. He's an amazing individual. I have 100% like completely understand like why this project is a thing, and it's just amazing. It's such a simple game. You can pick it up in one shot. I was lucky enough to beat Zaba actually. First game, very, very lucky. I love those foxes and the tokens, absolutely. So amazing. Cryptic, unfortunately, I don't have too many details about Cryptic. It's one that I really didn't get into or invested into even looking into. I'm not gonna lie, sorry guys. But they did make pretty good money. To me, anything that's over like 50 grand means you're doing pretty good. You're doing successful. Past 100 grand, you're doing really well. All that extra influx is just like making sure it goes where it needs to be. But at least some of these guys get a decent payout for the work that they've done, because as like I said, as a fellow creator, it's really hard work to do this and then take the criticism from like everybody who wants to criticize the product and stuff. It's just sometimes difficult. So like it's really good to see that some of these, like, they actually got a good payout. They're able to live the dream life that they wanted to. Like, congratulations to these guys. But Cryptic's in number 4, and then Otherverse in number 5. I believe it's Sam who's running this. I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard it's Sam. I'm not 100% sure. I think I've talked to him a little bit through some like DMs and stuff. An amazing individual, great guy. The art in this is absolutely beautiful. I mean, the art's really gorgeous in all of them, but like this reminds me of like Fate Stay Night and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, I love Fate Stay, and it's got like, they have like a sexy option and stuff. This really reminds me of Magic. This is really reminds me of Magic, and like, I like Magic and stuff. I'm not a huge complete Magic fan. Grand Archive really reminds. First look at the Grand Archive, I was like, man, this is like Yu-Gi-Oh. Nostalgic's like the Pokemon Digimon route, but they're pretty amazing. I think it's called Maelstrom TCG here has actually came a long way. It was another TCG beforehand. And of course they ran into some issues with the art and licensings and stuff, so they had to completely scrap their Kickstarter and then completely restart with this one. And they have 810 backers, and they made about 500,000. This is really good to see them come a long way, and I love the art style that they picked. It's really nice to see where this has come. Akora has a really strong following, even though that it looks like it's only like 433 backers, but like whenever I see and look around, I feel like there's more people into Akora now than originally when they were actually doing the Kickstarter. So it's really good to see that kind of development on this side, and I haven't really gotten into other statistics numbers because I really wanted to go through like Instagram and Discords and give the full numbers of some of these people, and I might eventually do that as like another official update, but right now I just got a lot on my plate before I actually go ahead and do that. Spells and Magic TCG, I have no clue. Not heard much about this one, to be honest. It's good to see that they did a Kickstarter and they run in the 8 spot. So it's really cool to see some like competition. I actually met the guy at a convention who was drawing these up, and he was just like, "This is just an idea. We'll see if it's kind of successful." He's a very humble guy. And boom, and look at that. He is actually number 9 inside the TCG realm and like making $177,000. Yo, congratulations, my man. You probably don't remember me. I remember you drawing it up, and you're like, just a what if, maybe we'll see. And then now look at you, super successful, man. Very happy. Congratulations, man. Oh, big shout out there. Polywog, I've heard about it. I don't know too much about it, but it's like another kind of like, I think maybe Pokemon style TCG, but it's like, evolutions and stuff, like frogs and things. But it's really cool to see how that's pretty successful right here. And they get the number 10 slot. Back alley mages are really cool people. I know recently a bunch of them were in Long Beach. A bunch of these guys were in Long Beach. Man, if I wasn't in Thailand and I was in the U.S., I would have paid for a ticket, went over, met everybody, grabbed stuff, and we'd have been doing all sorts of videos with all the stuff I've gotten, like promos and things like that. So it's unfortunate. Would have been awesome to see. It's really good to see them at number 11 spot. But now as we go down, there's most of these TCGs I've looked into, but not 100% looked into. But you got Blightbreed in like number 12. You got Rune Slingers in number 13. Dreambook is in number 14. Dreambook has had some call outs on them on some unfortunate things recently, which that will be a later discussion once I get a little bit more information on it. But they made the 14th slot. You got number 15, Academy of the Arts. Number 16, Boundless. Recently, they've been dropping a lot of really cool content on their Instagram, so it's really cool to see them actually doing pretty good, and they got some nice art going on there. Galamon's TCG, like I said, I haven't really heard much about these. So what's really interesting is Scamperland TCG and Historica is by the same people, so it's really nice to see this. But I played a little bit of Historica because of my friend who got the Kickstarter, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's really fun. It's educational. It's very, very nice. Chaos and Sumi, we got that right here. Battle Tunes is 21. This has got some gorgeous art. I'm not gonna lie it off. Gorgeous art, in my opinion. Obviously, I have a flavor for art, and Battletoons, I like the art style, but I just like that fantasy style art. So it's coming out in 22. And Dynasty TCG, I'm not gonna lie, I was able to get some sample cards, and they are amazing. You can check out my Instagram. I got even a side one from the creator. He's gonna be dropping because this was the sample card set, right, in packs. So he's got his official Kickstarter coming up soon. I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait. Huge shout out. I'm hoping for a success. I'll definitely be backing that one when it does come out. Kodomin, I think I spelled that right. Codeem Mystic Roots. Don't know too much about Zyguess. Don't know too much about Beast Clan. I don't know too much, but that runs in 26. Demi kind of looked interesting. That runs number 27. Creatures of Exo, I love the art. Number 28, it's just unfortunate. 25 backers. I'm hoping maybe a little bit more. Revelations TCG, I tried to find everywhere. I tried to get a screenshot and couldn't get anything good. They're number 29, and then Heroes Ascent with 9 backers. Now we're going to break down here. Ooh, man, when did that happen? I'll have to fix that. Definitely get that fixed. Hello. Alright, so besides Grand Archive's complete mess up there, we're going to look into the pledges and see how many pledges that like overwhelm between each other. There's just no way catching up with Sorcery with like 6,000 and a half. Like, ooh, they probably got like maybe 7,000 now pending on. I haven't checked their Discord yet or like their Instagram. I probably should see actually their numbers, but that's insane numbers. It's not, Nostalgics of course has like 500 more people than Grand Archive, even though they came in third in money. We just got to know that in the long run, money is good, and how you manage it is where it goes, and that's how you keep the company longevity. You get your game longevity. It's the number of backers is what really makes the game go, and like people want to talk about it, play with their friends, and keep on going. The reason why these made so much money is because they're TCGs. You're gambling to get those good signed cards, like the super highest rarity card with the signature on it that's only 50 out of like the whole entire, box setup, getting that, putting it on the secondary market, go through Koba or a grading company and get it slapped with a nice number, you break it open from the package and getting that exciting feel. Like, I get it. I love TCGs. I completely get it. But I think as I get older and I have my own kids that I have to worry about, like, budgeting, things like that, I'm probably going to go more towards game. Like, I'm going to be very, like, I will still support TCGs, but it's like, I'll buy a couple starter decks and just play for fun. Competitively, back in the day, I used to do it. So I'm just saying, I get it. But really, what's going to make your game live long term is the backers, and that's the reason why, like I said, see 250, there's 247, there's the lowest. I go by the number of backers because the backers is what's going to make your game thrive and more. You talk about it, they go to the card shop and you're like, hey, what game is that? And you're like, oh, yo, it's Nostalgics, look at this game, or Grand Archive, or like Polywog or Cora, man, you gotta check this out. You know what I mean? So that's like the mentality, is keeping the people happy and keeping those backers keep on coming. So Nostalgics is running at, like I said, 500 over Grand Archive, and then Grand Archive is just barely inching over Cryptic. And what I'm trying to say is Grand Archive made their money because if you look at their Kickstarter and how they set up their tiers, that's where they banked on it really hard. They set it up very nicely, and that's how they made that money. But literally, if you really want to look at this, literally Sorcery, Nostalgics, Grand Archive, and Cryptic are going to be top contenders just because the amount of people are backing them. And honestly, if you really think about it, Grand Archive could almost bump to 4, and Cryptic could bump to 3. It's just going to be amazing to see what's going to happen in like a couple years, and maybe like even when maybe I do an update in a couple months and just go, hey, updated 2020, like, not updated 2020 report, but like early report with a breakdown with their following on Discord and their following on Instagram, which are the big ones that TCGs uses. They might have Twitter and Facebook, but really people follow on those two more than anything else when it comes to TCGs, I've realized. Then you got Maelstrom, just 5 over Otherverse, but really Otherverse still, I really personally think, still ranks 5s no matter what, but just because the math. Then you got Polywog, which was number 10 originally, bumped to 7 with backers, so obviously that cuts them in a little bit better because they got more of a following. Then Akura, was 7, drops to 8 position. Cannabis, 6 in the spot, 9 spot. You guys rock. And then the reason why I set up to 13, because Blightbreed has 302 backers, where Spells of Magic has 297. 304, 297. You see that? So it just kind of like bounces things. But the reason why Spells of Magic still ranks in the 11th spot is because, they are originally 8, where this one was lower. So that's why 297, 297 were singers. And then we got Back Alley Mages with 247. So it's really interesting to see how this is. And it's going to be really interesting to see what new TCGs would make it through. So we have familiarities. There's no point to go through this section. I kind of mentioned it earlier, like, every card game has a certain way, look and feel to another card game, and then like game mechanics have the same look and feel, vice versa between each other. So that's something that's kind of common knowledge. So here's what might change that whole entire list. As you can tell, since I made the list, it's probably been most likely more than 24 days. So some of these will be added to the list, and then some of these down here might be added up here. We'll see where these all land at during the Kickstarter process, and we'll have Kickstarter process here, which will be the new ones will be up here, whatever I could find. Then we'll have the ones that did not make it down here, just as an honorable mention, did not pass the Kickstarter process. And then you got some pre-Kickstarter processes, and I'm not gonna lie, there's 3 here that I'm really looking forward to. Actually, I look forward to all card games, but there's some here that haven't updated in a while, and there's some here that are updating. But I'm have to give a shout out. Legions of Will looks pretty good. Very interesting game mechanics. Very unique art. I'm not a huge superhero movie or type of person. I mean, I do like watching MCU just because I've watched it for so many years. But Alpha Clash looks really interesting. The their gameplay itself, the gameplay mechanics look super simple. Not like super simple. It's like simple enough to get into the game, but then complex when you actually play the cards and do the like countering each other, and then like actually playing the game itself and using the strategies behind it. Looks very, very, very fun. And then Vanquish TCG is just like space cyberpunk type deal, and it's just really beautiful art. I'm not gonna lie, gameplay looks really interesting too. Cannot wait till they drop their Kickstarter. I'm gonna be one of those people sitting there just to get the number with these. I'll be like, okay, what's it gonna drop? What's it gonna drop? Okay, it's gonna drop. Okay, and then just hit pledge so I could get my $1 pledge in, just so I could get my number, and then I figure out what I want to adjust afterwards. And actually read what it is there. So overall, 30 successful indie TCGs currently when this originally was made, 5 currently on the Kickstarter, plus 13 more TCGs coming out. Now to mention, there were 2 that I missed. There was Primal TCG, and there is Primal and Rise TCG that has to be added to this, okay? So they have to be added to this extensive list of TCGs. With 13 more coming, makes a total of like 35 Kickstarters will be released within the year, and then 11 TCGs failed Kickstarters. Yes, there are 11 TCGs and CCGs who did not make it within this year. Hate to say we're one of them, but it is what it is. So 11 total, making 59 indie TCGs. So we include Primal and Rise. It'll go from 59 to 62. And then you never know, I might find another one for point A to point B. So some of these numbers will change from point A to point B when I do my updated adjustments. Okay, so besides COVID, obviously everybody learned the rules and was like, oh, well, Magic can't sue everybody for game mechanics now. There was a court ruling. So everybody was like, I'm going to make a TCG before COVID, but you never really did, because I've talked to many other creators too in the process. Never wanted to, always wanted to, but work and everything. Then COVID happened, and you're like, yes, I can make one now. So those two kind of work together. And of course, like the huge success of MetaZoo. MetaZoo has blown up hugely successfully. It started off Kickstarter, made like 34,000, I think 35,000. I can't remember at the moment. And then, it started getting going and good, and they finally were able to release their second booster set. And, after the success of the first booster set, and Steve Yoki was like, yo, I like this game. And then, boom, they made a partnership, and it exploded. Now it's everywhere. It's getting into, like, from what I heard, supposedly eventually Walmart and stuff, like Target, all these big companies. If you get into one of those places, then, yep, you're definitely going to make some money. Definitely for sure. And then, they use the NFTs very smartly, which put them in a strategic advantage. And remember, guys, if you're going to do NFTs, do not use Kickstarter. They will shut you down. Trust me, I know. Some thoughts about if you're a creator planning to sell your own product. We'll get more into that here soon enough, because like future predictions and stuff, it is a flooded market and everything for TCG wise. Like honorable mentions, obviously, Alpha Clash, Vanquishers, and Zero TCG looks pretty dope too. I forgot to mention them too. Yeah, you guys got some pretty cool stuff there too. But it's not just the TCG market. There's other card games coming out that represent themselves as like they're not TCGs, but you get the full thing and it plays like a TCG, right? So Wizard War is one of them. Paragons, Ages of Champions. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't get exactly to get the ship here, which I wish I could. There were some unfortunate issues, but I was able to get digital copy in the tabletop simulator, and I cannot wait to get it. Cannot wait to do a review. It's going to be amazing. We'll definitely show you guys. So it's they give you the full set of cards instead of trying to collect throughout the booster bases. It's like you get your 120 or like 200 something cards. It was 180 to 224 cards. No real official count, but final count, but between there. So it's like, yeah, I get everything, and it was like a good price. I don't have to hunt down all the cards. Going back to the little kid situation. They did not make it, but I'd like to give a shout out to Everlight CCG. I don't know exactly where they're at now. They said they're going to take a break just because of everything that happened and regroup and then come back. I completely understand that. I know that feeling, doing that myself. But Everlight CCG has an amazing grid-based card game that just didn't make it. Some gorgeous, beautiful art, and just a simple way to play the card game. And I definitely will be getting on that here soon enough once I start getting some things in and stuff, but they are just amazing. You should definitely just check them out a little bit. And then obviously you got digital card games too coming out. So they're like Kamigami and Clash of Gods. It's a very beautiful, another grid-based game where you hop around, you use your gods and you're like your deities and stuff, and fight each other, and you take your and just beat each other out. And it's a lot of fun. It's a digital game. It's like $20 on Steam. But where I'm coming from is TCG front isn't the only card front. Everybody's got like different games hitting the market and everything. So, you know, you have to think about what's hitting the market. You have to look at what's hitting the market. You have to find the right time. You know, it's kind of like when releasing movies now. You know, you have to find the right time. These big companies, you know, you have to make sure it doesn't hit a holiday. You have to make sure it's not competing another movie. So it's like, oh, I have a card game coming out. Oh, hopefully it's not competing against like a big booster set that Yu-Gi-Oh is dropping, or Dragon Ball Super or Magic. Or it's not like going back into the future of card gaming. So I mentioned here, Bandai is going to release One Piece TCG. They did this promotional thing in a while back or something like that, and they're like, oh look, boom, here's a Luffy card to give for a new TCG, right? They got Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, that. What else? They had Xenozard for a while, a digital one that they shut down and got rid of, and I still think it's fun. I'm playing the tabletop simulator for that. It's amazing. And there's another TCG somewhere around there that they do. But going back to these companies could just throw out whatever they want or anything. As you notice down here, take a look at what Disney has done over the years, like merging, like so I was talking about other card companies buying other card companies, right? In this little discussion here. So I was like, you know, look at Disney. They keep on buying out other companies. Look at Microsoft. They buy out companies' acquisitions. Same thing with Sony, acquiring companies to put companies under their company belt. So they try to make, you know, get those exclusives and everything, right? You know, I even mentioned Disney here, you know, and then, you know, I was like, you never know. Maybe Disney wants to buy a car company, or like Bandai wants to buy out like Nostalgics, or Disney wants to buy out like, or Disney might buy out Nostalgics, Bandai might buy out Grand Archive, or Konami might. Or you could even turn around and look at like Wizard of the Coast might buy Sorcery just because they can. Well, it's funny to know that Disney just dropped news last night that they're releasing a TCG with either co-founder or co-creator from Wizards of the Coast with something. He's way up there. And they're doing their own TCG with all their IPs and rights. Like, they could release a Mickey set, they could release a Star Wars set, they could release like, and then you're gonna hunt down those cards. They're gonna have the signatures. You're gonna go crazy for it. Like, what the fuck? Sorry for my language, but then you got like Pixar and everything. Even me, I'm kind of excited. It's like, okay, I already like Disney throwing out a TCG. Now it just comes from gameplay. If the gameplay isn't hoo-ha, then, you know, like, you know, something dumb. If it's an actual TCG gameplay, then absolutely I'll be in it. Because there's going to be so many people who are going to go in it. So you have to wonder, everybody who put money into these other TCGs, how many people are going to leave to go to Disney? You know what I mean? I mean, especially kids. Like, my nephews are, like, the first thing one of my nephews mentioned, he goes, oh, Disney's got a TCG. He sent me an email. I'm like, oh, man. What? And when I looked it up, I was like, whoa. Now I was about to do this report today. What good news to actually use for the report. So going back to future predictions, who would have thought Disney would drop a TCG? I thought they would buy somebody out. But nah, they're like, we create our own. We use our own IPs. Cool. So, with that done and said, if you're planning to release a TCG on market, remember, you're going to be dealing with Disney now. Plus, with the pre-successful of other TCGs, and still the current mainstream ones, like with Magic the Gathering, I feel like is trying to survive. I'm not a huge fan of them. I like them, I don't like them. It's 50-50, right? So I feel like they're using IPs to try to survive, and then like, you know, Disney's going to be dropping all their IPs in their card game. So it all just falls into gameplay, because I know Disney can make things look beautiful. I know they have the right people to do it. It's just the gameplay. And then what I'm afraid of is, even though that there is an act in the court and everything, I feel like if you try to copy anything from Disney, like after Disney releases their game and gameplay, like officially, if anybody creates anything afterwards, they might try to come from you, like a legal aspect, because I know Disney, they like to do things like that a lot. Anyways, So, with all that done said, my final thoughts. I have my final thoughts here, which, I'm going to say this. It is a TCG revolution. You have all these amazing card games coming out, not from corporate companies, but from people who want to see them grow and everything. There's some of them are really, really good looking. I can't wait to see how some of these new Kickstarters come out and how they'll interact and become. So, I'm just excited to see all these things happen. But in the long term run, when Disney drops their card game, which I think maybe could be this next year or the year after that, I'm not 100% sure where it's coming from, what year, I don't have all the details, but it's like it's a TCG war. It is a war. It does, like, all these small indie TCGs are literally supporting each other. They're liking each other's stuff and everything. I love to see the support. And they have to, because at first I was thinking, oh, these TCGs, indie TCGs, are going to go war each other. No, they're going to be going to war with Disney now and trying to outcompete with Disney, because Disney's not just going to be like, oh, them who needs a Kickstarter. They're just going to be like, here's our new card game, and we're going to see if it's successful. Which, telling you, not all companies, many companies have done this before. Transformers have done it. A bunch of companies have tried to make trading card games. Never successful. But because the IPs that Disney control, that's the different story. If they make their first booster set, like a little bit of Mickey, a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of, like, Pixar, and a little bit of Marvel, they're just gonna eat everybody. I think, personally, just from my point of view. But overall, it's really good to see the indie front take on corporations, and I want these indie card games to become corporations. I want them to compete with the big ones, because honestly, the money needs to go somewhere else. It can't always go in the pockets for these big guys. All right. Anywho, thank you for joining me for this report. I hope you really, really enjoyed it. Please throw some comments on how you feel below. Check our link tree and actually go through and like our some of the socials, or follow us and like the video here on YouTube. So with that said, please also check the updated report. There's quite a bit more TCGs out there that I didn't realize even came up from point A to point B, so it'll finalize for the one whole year total from point A to point B. And thank you for watching this video. It's a little bit long, but hopefully you got something out of it. And if you have any, like I said, thoughts, questions, please put them down below. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed. Deuces.